From the sidelines to your ears, it's the Benchwarmers Podcast, where sports meets humor. I'm your host, Zach, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Jordan. How you doing tonight?
Good. How's it going, everybody? How's it going today, Zach?
Oh, it's going great.
Absolutely wonderful
We got,
Friday.
oh yeah, it's always a wonderful Friday.
Absolutely.
We have a ton of news to talk about today. There's been a lot of updates and releases and trades and re-signings and stuff from the NFL, which is to be expected. Um, but we're going to get into that a little later in the cast because that's going to take up most of the cast. There's a lot of shit. Um, but today I think we're going to talk about. I know we're a little late because we missed our date on recording, but there was a good reason. Jordan was actually at Monday Night Raw.
Yes, sir.
So I'm sure he's going to have some insight on that. So we'll cover that a little bit, and then we're going to get into the Elimination Chamber. Again, I know we're a couple days out from that, but we're going to cover it anyway. And then we're going to cover the UFC fight that's coming up tomorrow, which this will be out tomorrow, so Saturday, I'll say. Um, we're going to cover the fight there and the card a little bit, not too much, and then we're going to get into the NFL news. How's that sound to you, Jordan?
It sounds great. It sounds great.
All right. Well, hey, so you were at Monday Night Raw. Tell us about your experience there. I know you've been to a couple wrestling shows, but tell us what you thought of the show, and let's hear your insight on what you think, uh, how you think it was.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So, for starters, we got there. It was really cold on that Monday night. Really cold in Buffalo. And from start to finish, the show was actually pretty good. A lot of surprises, but as far as like experience wise, it was awesome. I got to take Caitlin's best friend's son to his first ever wrestling show, and that was it for me. As far as the match card goes, there was a few of them where you had to go up and take a pee break if you needed to, or grab something to eat, and that's everywhere. A couple of them that stuck out to me was obviously the main event, and the Seth Rollins stuff in the beginning of the show with CM Punk, and we're definitely on the road to WrestleMania. You could definitely feel it there. You can definitely like see it there within the staff there, and I'm talking the WWE staff there, and just the fans in general. You definitely tell WrestleMania season is here.
Oh, definitely,
Uh,
definitely, and you even got to see a world heavyweight title match.
yeah, absolutely, and that's what
Uh,
I'm saying, man. That's what came off as shocking to me. It was
mm-hmm.
we're on the road to WrestleMania, and now we got a new WWE World Heavyweight Women's Champion in Io Sky. Zach, what was your first reaction when you saw this?
Honestly, I was shocked. I I figured they were going to ride Rhea Ripley all the way to WrestleMania.
I did too.
Uh, it's the only thing that really made sense. I didn't. I thought this match with Io would be a squash match. To be honest, not that it would be a squash, but it would be competitive. But you knew Io wasn't going to win. At least that's what everybody else thought. I would think.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
Um, I mean, I like it. Io's a former champion. Io can carry the strap, so we'll see how the storyline goes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think going back to your point of nobody seen it coming. Even down into the audience, everybody and their mother, you know, pretty much thought Rhea Ripley was walking out of Buffalo, New York, with that strap still. And you know, come to surprise, it didn't happen that way. Bianca Belair was obviously out there in attendance, scoping her competition
Right.
out. My question is why are we going this way, and what is the aftermath of WrestleMania 41 when it comes to this women's division on Monday Night Raw?
I think. So here's my take on this, and I've seen a couple of rumors. I'm not going to credit anybody because again, they're rumors. But I seen that maybe WWE is getting tired of the mommy persona of Rhea Ripley. I think it's run its course. I mean, I like the persona, I like the character, but it has run its course, and I think they are gearing up for a big, like, character change with Rhea Ripley,
Oh yeah.
and I think that's why they dropped this the the heavyweight title to Io.
I mean, if we're gonna rebrand Rhea Ripley, might as well do it. The only reason why I don't see that coming though is the merchandise sales, the character of Rhea Ripley, and the whole mommy is always on top thing. That was built around her and Dominic Mysterio, and now
It
without
was
Dominic, you
it
know,
was, but now Dominic's not there. Rhea's not in that faction anymore.
yeah,
Rhea's kind of in limbo, if you ask me,
yeah.
because that character doesn't really fit. It it doesn't fit on on itself.
No,
You
it
know what I
doesn't.
mean?
I thought it was going to because right after that, she gets into this thing with Damian Priest, and
Right.
with Damian being Puerto Rican and everything. I thought that that was still gonna be a thing, and that's how they still tied it all together. Not that race or ethnicity has anything to do with it. Uh, I just don't. She's definitely came into her own with this thing, but the Terror Twins, I thought that, that for sure was just gonna they were gonna drop the whole mommy is always on top thing and go with the Terror Twins, and you still get the same Rhea Bloody Ripley lines, and Rhea is always on top, and because before the mommy is on top, that was her thing is Rhea Ripley is always on top, and then
Right.
Dominic came in on all that stuff. I just don't. I mean, with the way merch sales and everything else are today, I don't see him doing it, right now. But now would be the perfect time to rebrand her. She has no. Uh, I want to say she has no. They have no direction for her, but something tells me that they'd be stupid to leave Rhea Ripley out of WrestleMania 41.
Um. I mean, you're probably right, but if she has anything to do with WrestleMania, I wonder if she like to build this. I don't know, because if they're gonna rebrand her, I don't know if you can put her in WrestleMania and start another, you know, story with her right now.
Yeah,
I
it's
feel
definitely
like they need
confusing.
to fake an injury, have her out for a month or two, and then bring her back. And that's how they rebrand her. And then she starts something with either Io or Bianca Belair. Whoever's the title holder at that time. It could be anybody at this point.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, definitely think that this is very confusing times. If Triple H was made this card on Monday to rib us or kind of like shock value or whatever you want to call it, you succeeded, but I don't think you succeeded in the right way. The only thing that they were building off of in that match was the fact that Io Sky is undefeated against Rhea Ripley, which I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something, but they were not saying that in the build up to that match. I don't think they were. I don't think they were mentioning that Io Sky has an undefeated streak against Rhea Ripley. The only thing that I seen was that they fought before in the NXT days.
Right. Yeah,
So
I don't think they
that
brought it up
story came out
either.
of nowhere, pretty much.
Yeah, it definitely did. So that was a big shock, obviously, on Monday night.
Yeah, absolutely. But the chamber, though.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about we'll get into the chamber now. We already we brought up uh Bianca Belair being on the sidelines for Rhea Ripley's title match, so that tells us obviously that Bianca Belair won the women's elimination chamber, and let's start with that. That threw me for a loop.
Not me, not me.
I did not see Bianca winning that. We
Oh yeah,
predicted,
Bianca winning that. Yeah, no,
yeah,
I
we
didn't see
didn't
that.
see Bianca winning that. We saw either Liv Morgan or Alexa Bliss winning that.
I saw that I was referring to the Naomi and
Well, that too.
but yeah, no, we had Alexa Bliss winning that one.
Yeah, we did. So that is one thing that really shocked me anyway. And then obviously Jade Cargill coming back and attacking Naomi. Uh, what do you think of that?
Oh yeah, for sure. So I when I seen that, I lost my shit, and there's a reaction on my Twitter page for that. We'll get into to the socials and stuff later, but yeah, that threw me, dude. I was so excited for this because I've been. First of all, I'll go out and I'll say that I'm not the biggest Naomi fan. There's nothing wrong with her. I don't think there's anything wrong with her. I just think, going back to its ran its course. I think that if anything, Naomi needs a rebranding, and I'm thinking that that's what they're gonna do here with this heel turn. And if so, and if it's done right, maybe I'll become a fan. Um, but that's neither here nor there. That Jade Cargill thing leads this up to WrestleMania. I
Right.
don't know how this is going to intertwine with Bianca because these two were tag team champions together. Naomi and you got Bianca on Raw now going against Io Sky for the belt at WrestleMania. Um, so again, going back to this is all confusing because what are we doing with? I mean, now we got a setup for Jade and Naomi at Mania.
Right.
How do we fit Bianca into this though?
I don't think, well, the only thing I could see is Naomi screws up the title match for her.
That's what I was thinking as well, honestly.
That is what I'm thinking. Because obviously our whole prediction of a tag match and all this other stuff at Mania between Naomi and Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill and whoever else, that is obviously out the window. Our predictions were completely wrong. Um, but to be expected, you're not supposed to know the outcome of everything. Um,
Exactly. There's shot value in that.
exactly. So that's the only thing I can see is what you said. Rebranding of Naomi, a heel turn, and I think she interferes with Bianca's match and makes her lose. And then that probably leads into WrestleMania Backlash.
Oh yeah, for sure. All of this stuff with these three have to lead into Backlash. The story is just starting to
Right.
cook up a little bit. I mean, we've only had this angle for what, like 3 months, 4 months now.
Something like that.
Yeah, so this has to go on a little bit longer. But so Jaden and Naomi are gonna go at it at WrestleMania. Another thing that I have here in the women's chamber is Alexa Bliss. That was mine and Zach's prediction to win the whole thing. And if you know, you know. If not, go back and watch the other episodes. Um, what Zach Alexa can really go. She had a baby. She took some time off. Man, watching her go, it's. I mean,
Yeah, it brings back old memories, and she's only been gone like what, a
2 years.
year, 2 years,
Yeah, 2 years.
and like it feels like it's been forever since we've seen
It
Alexa
does.
Bliss.
It does. I
And
mean, we've
I
lost.
enjoyed Alexa Bliss.
Yeah.
I've always been a fan of Alexa Bliss. Um, I have nothing bad to say about her. She did her job in the chamber. Uh, Obviously, not the outcome that we wanted, but it does show that after being off for that long, having her kid, and whatever else came with her life while she was off, um, she still got it. I didn't see any ring rust,
Neither did I. Neither did I. So with
none at all.
Alexa, you know, our prediction was wrong about her winning the title, but our prediction about the Wyatt Six may still be true, as we do not know what's going on SmackDown, yet.
Yeah.
I still see Alexa getting involved with uh, Nikki Cross and the Wyatt Six. I don't know how, but this is going to be great. The match itself, the Elimination Chamber match itself for the women's side, I didn't see anything wrong with it. Um,
Nope.
it was kind of a surprise to see Bianca Belair win, especially after what had happened, before the match with Jade and Naomi, of course. And, I don't know, dude, a part of me thought that as soon as Jade came out and beat up Naomi, that they were going to pull like a. You remember what happened with Edge in the chamber? And how he stole his opportunity to get in the
Yep.
chamber. I thought that they were going to do something like that.
Yeah, I thought for sure that when Naomi went out, that they would have brought in somebody,
Yeah,
a surprise entrant or something like that, like they did with the Royal Rumble in Tozawa.
yeah, yeah. Like well, they definitely could. I expected them to do something like that. I didn't. What I thought was going to happen was they were going to have Jade go in, beat up Naomi, take the spot, and then it
Yeah,
would
that
be
would
her
have
and
worked.
Bianca.
Uh, that definitely could have worked.
Uh, all in all, though, like I said, that was a really good match.
Well, we're
I
talking about elimination chamber matches. Let's go into the men's real quick.
Yeah, definitely.
Um,
But
I
to
want to
close
get.
that out, though, it was a really good opener. Really, you couldn't open that show any
Oh
better. But
no,
yeah,
you
the men's
couldn't.
chamber was even better, if not like some of the greatest work that I've seen
Oh,
as far as
definitely.
as
I
far as like
before we get
storytelling.
into who won it, and I already know by this point
Do you want
everybody
to
knows who
go
won it.
down to the rest of the card first and just
Yeah,
go
we
over that
can.
and then go over the chamber ladders because that's really
Yeah,
big.
I just figured we were talking about chamber matches. Keep going with it, but we
Yeah,
can
because
talk about the rest of the card. Well, let's talk about the Sami Zayn and
I'm glad you brought this
Kevin
up.
Owens fight.
Dude, I absolutely fucking loved this match. I have this as the best match of the entire night. The
Oh,
best match of the
definitely.
entire night. I beat the men's chamber too. Um, I said it in the last podcast in episode 2. Kevin Steen, we see everybody who wasn't aware of what Kevin Owens was doing on the Indies. You now seen it in
Yep.
Toronto at Elimination Chamber. That was Kevin Steen. That wasn't Kevin Owens. And these two being best friends, they put on a freaking clinic, dude.
Oh, they definitely did. I mean, I even seen an article. I can't remember where it was, but that was real barbed wire around that chair.
Oh yeah, oh
That
yeah.
wasn't that wasn't staged. That was real barbed wire. So they went all out.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and it goes to show like people like Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, and all of the and Cody Rhodes too. All of these guys, that are indie guys and stuff like that. All these people complaining about all these spots that they're doing. You got a hell of a show in
Yep.
in, in, in that match. My hat's off to these two. They really tore the house down. Tons of great spots in there. The commentary, they sold that match like $1 million freaking dollars, dude. Um, my favorite spot out of the entire match, though, was the barbed wire chair where they set up the two chairs and then they laid the barbed wire chair across the
Oh
two,
yeah.
and Kevin Owens put Sammy through it, or did he? I think it was a reversal. It was something like that, but that was my favorite spot. And then at the end of the match, dude, you know, out comes Orton.
Yeah, I didn't really predict that. I figured something was going to happen with Orton and Kevin Owens. I just didn't know. I don't think anybody knew when Orton was coming back.
No, and going back to episode 2, I mentioned that we sh- we should be expecting Orton because he's been out since November. I just didn't see it right now,
Right.
um,
Well,
especially
this leads
after
up to
watching that
WrestleMania
match.
then. This
Yeah,
this leads
it
up to
does.
Kevin Owens and Randy at WrestleMania. What kind of match do you think that's going to be? Do you think it's going to be a regular match, or do you think we're going to get something like this?
Well, hold on, because did you see before that whole thing was done? Did you see what kind of Orton we're gonna get for this though? We're getting
Oh, I think we're getting
2014 Orton.
Psycho Orton back.
Yeah, and that excites me. So I think that to your question, I really think that this is going to be one of those last man standing, street fight, backstage brawl, something that has to do with that. Especially because if you go back to like I said, to 2014, 13, and 12, you know, Randy Orton, the Psycho Orton, as Zack has labeled him, that Orton, I would say that that's some of his best work, other than the Golden Boy Orton, where he comes in, the youngest world champion. That's just that's where I rank things. But that Orton was on my list. That's number one.
I I definitely think so too. My list is a little different. I like the Legend Killer
Oh,
below
yeah,
below
okay.
Psycho.
The one that like spit in who was it? Pat Patterson
Yeah.
spit in his face, RKO'd
Mm-hmm.
Mick Foley.
Yep.
Those matches between him, Foley, and Edge were classics. But
They
yeah,
definitely were.
I think that that's going to be something like that. It's going to have to do with something around you know an extreme amount of violence. And I'm glad that we're starting to see a lot of these moves come back. I know we touched on it the last podcast about the pile driver and the safety of this. Uh, what was your reaction when you seen Orton line up for that punt, dude?
Oh, I was excited. I wanted to see him knock Kevin's head off.
So did I. So did
Oh,
I.
definitely. I miss the Orton punt.
Me too.
And he does it so well too,
Oh yeah, he does.
and I think Triple H, being a recipient of the Orton punch or the Orton punt a couple different times, I think he knows how Randy Orton works, and Randy's safe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Randy's been around a long time. He knows what he's doing, so I think that's why they brought it back.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I think that you know, a lot of this stuff that Vince thought was unsafe, he just was around bad people. Bad people who, and I'm not talking about his yes men. I'm talking about the wrestlers, people like Ryback. And I know I'm throwing his name out there. Everybody is, brother. Everybody is. As far as unsafe workers, you can go and look, Google, YouTube, Reddit, everywhere, Twitter even. Excuse me. Ryback is one of those unsafe guys, and he's on a list of of
Oh,
people
definitely. I
who
mean,
are
you could
unsafe.
see uh, there was interviews with CM Punk
Oh yeah.
saying that he did not want to work with Ryback.
No.
And that
No.
night that Ryback hurt him, he he said he didn't want to work with him.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. And in that same story, I remember Punk saying, going up to Ryback and saying, "Are you an idiot, or you just not, wasn't an accent?" And Ryback says, "Yeah, well, I'm a fucking idiot." Yeah, yeah, we know you are. But yeah, that's so Vince surrounded himself with these beefy, brolic guys who looked the part but really didn't have anything upstairs, and that's what caused these things to be unsafe and
Yep.
stuff like that. But now that we have these guys who understand the art of pro wrestling and understand the safety measures that come with being a professional wrestler, people like Will Ospreay, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, the list goes on and on. But these guys, and even some of these veterans that I just named, like Orton and Owens, these guys are starting to, say, hey, look at me. I could take care of my opponents. I could take care of
Yep.
myself in this. And let's just
Oh
keep this
yeah.
ball rolling.
Yep.
It's a very
Definitely.
exciting time. The Rock was right last year. It was a very exciting time to be a professional wrestling fan right now.
Oh, it definitely is. And we've discussed this. I think it was episode 1 or 2. Uh, we like the direction Triple H is taking things.
Absolutely. So real quick. We're not going to spend much time on this. Did you see that Vince McMahon is in the headlines again for this? I know we talked about it. I think it was episode 1 or 2. We talked about Vince McMahon coming to do his own pro wrestling thing. I
Right.
just had seen another article about it. This is crazy. This guy should just stop. I just don't see it no
Definitely.
more.
I
I
mean,
don't see
I
his
don't know how
name.
old he is, but we've
He's in his
like I
80s.
said, we've talked about this before. He's too old.
Yeah, he just needs to move
Way
on,
too
dude.
old.
He needs to
He
move on,
definitely
let it
needs to
go.
move on.
And that goes for
Just
Sting
like
too.
so, just like moving on, we're gonna move on to the next match.
Yeah,
And we
Tiffany.
only have to spend 5 minutes on this because I didn't think it was a very exciting match. Tiffany Stratton,
Yeah,
Trish
neither did I.
Stratus.
This was definitely a
I
house show thing.
yeah, that was definitely not the match that I think everybody wanted it to be, and
Yeah,
I don't know if anybody really had high expectations for it. I think it was just something to get exposure for Tiffany Stratton, and
Oh yeah,
they were in Canada, so Trish Stratus was there,
yeah, and I believe we
you
touched on
know.
that in an episode
And
too.
Tiffany and Trish, they picked up the win.
Yeah.
I didn't see Nia Jax and Candice LeRae winning that. Um,
The only thing that I took from that match is, what are we doing? And I said this before, dude. What are we doing with Nia Jax and Candice LeRae? Candice LeRae doesn't need Nia Jax. She's a speed
no,
champion. She's got all these other things going for her. Let her just go. Let her go do her own
yep.
thing.
Let her get into the mid card. You
Yeah,
know,
we have all these
uh,
belts now for the women. Just like
yep.
Zach said, let her go. Let's let her go. She don't need Nia Jax. We got that with the
No,
Tiffany Stratton thing. All right, we get it. We don't need another Natalia where these girls just get groomed by all these this one veteran. You know,
yep.
let her go. Just let her go.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's all I got on that match. That match
yeah,
was
that's all I got on that too. So we'll move on to the men's elimination chamber because
yes,
that was the big talk of the night. Um, let's talk about. I don't think we're going to talk about this person enough. I think uh, Logan Paul did phenomenal. I I didn't agree with his part in the match. I didn't understand his part in the match, but he did really well for his first elimination chamber.
dude, you're telling me, so it, our fans should know where I stand on Logan Paul. I'm letting you guys know that my opinion has sort of changed on him. Um, I put him up there with Dominic. He's just a step below Dominic when it comes to the heel work. I watched the vlog too. That changed a lot of my input in the work and the thought and effort he puts into Logan Paul, the WWE character, not
Right.
Logan Paul, the guy you see on YouTube. You know, the art of being a heel should be studied because it's not as easy as everybody thinks. It's not
No,
like
and I
you go out
think
there,
I think Logan also had that kind of training outside of the WWE. Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
he was kind of a heel on YouTube. I mean,
oh
him
yeah.
and his brother got into some crazy stuff on their YouTube
It's
channel, and
the
they
Japan
caught a lot of
thing.
heat, and they knew how to handle it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They
You
have
know,
great management around them. But as far as the match goes, you know, we got a glimpse of what Logan Paul could do in, at the Royal Rumble a few years back with him and Ricochet. He's a phenomenal athlete. Um, in this match, though, he hit that five-star frog splash. Sorry, up at top of the pod, and he hit it right on Damian Priest, a former world heavyweight champion. And not
yep,
only did he hit that dude, he eliminated him, which is
he did.
it threw me off. It's like, what are we doing here with this? I mean,
I didn't see Logan Paul getting an elimination.
yeah,
I didn't.
he
I seen him getting out pretty quick.
so did I. I thought he was going to be either two or one.
Right.
But
Um.
he showed really good things. And you
Oh,
know
he
what?
did.
I want to touch on this because you made a point. I think it was either episode one or two. Logan Paul, in time, he can, win that belt.
Oh,
I don't
I
see it
I
being the
believe that.
WWE, the World Heavyweight Championship. I could see Logan Paul taking that one. Not
Possibly.
anytime soon, but later on.
No, he's got to get more work in. Once he shows that he's actually here full time, I know he signed a contract and stuff, but what's the details of that contract? Is it going to be like a part timer thing? Is he going to show up to every Raw or SmackDown or whatever show he's on? Or is he just going to be kind of thrown into a story for a little bit to get put into the big match and then, leave again? We'll
Yeah,
have to see how this all turns out with Logan Paul. Um,
yeah, dude. So like I was saying, he's shown really good stuff inside that chamber. One thing that I have here is the whole boxing thing, the whole boxing gimmick that Logan Paul has. Last time I checked, the only win Logan Paul has on his record is to a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu champion, not an
yep.
actual boxer. He lost to KSI. It was an exhibition against Floyd Mayweather. Why are we putting Logan Paul over like he's some type of Mike Tyson esque boxer? He's not his brother Jake. Now, if it was
No.
Jake, I'd be fully behind this, and I'm not throwing shade at Logan because I just said he was a phenomenal athlete. He should stick with the WWE. and I'm not the only one. Check everything else. They'll tell you the same thing. You should stick with WWE and WWE only. We don't need to see him versus Conor McGregor or him versus KSI for third or fourth fucking time.
Right.
I mean, I'd be down to see him against his brother, but the whole world wants to see that. But for the most
Which
part,
that's
Logan.
scheduled, ain't it?
I thought it was, and I'm seeing now that Jake might be fighting McGregor or Logan might be fighting McGregor. Inside, it's backed by some Indian billionaire dude or whatever. I'm really hoping that we can get Logan versus Jake just so we can settle this beef. I mean,
Right.
that whole Mike
I
Tyson thing threw me off, so I don't know if this is gonna be legit or if it's gonna be one of those DAZN things, you know?
yeah, I'm gonna while we're finishing up, with Jake Paul and stuff, I just want to give my input or on Logan Paul. I want to give my input
Yeah,
on
yeah.
Jake Paul. I don't like him.
Jake or
I
Logan?
don't Jake.
Oh, okay.
We brought him up and I just want to make my opinion on
Yeah,
Jake Paul.
shoot from the hip, brother.
I don't like him.
Can I ask you why
He
though? Because a lot
can
of
I
people say the
you
same
want me,
thing.
he's his record means nothing to me. He
Okay.
he hasn't fought anybody. And the person he did fight that was a real boxer that is boxing now
Tommy Fury.
and he lost.
Yeah.
I just I don't like the way he's representing the boxing sport.
Right.
Not that I'm a big boxing fan. I'll watch it, but the way he's going about it, I just don't like. Like the fight between Mike Tyson and him, like Mike Tyson looked great in training and stuff, but you almost had to think that this is what was going to be. That Jake had to carry Mike through the fight because Mike is what 50 something years old.
Yeah.
It's not you're not fighting Mike Tyson in his prime and Jake goes out or Logan goes out there and or Jake, geez, I'm getting them confused. Jake goes out there and says that he could beat Mike Tyson in his prime. There's no way.
No way.
No way.
Mike Tyson
Mm-mm.
today is loaded up on mushrooms and fucking marijuana. Mike
You're
Tyson
fucking
back in the
right he is.
90s was loaded up on fucking cocaine and booze. And he was
Oh,
vicious.
definitely.
You know?
Definitely. He was the baddest man on the
Yeah,
planet.
there's nobody that could stop him. And then there was one
No.
point Jake said, "Oh yeah, I'm Buster Douglas." When Buster Douglas knocked you out, Mike looked at him and says, "You're no
Yeah.
Buster Douglas."
No.
Mike,
No, he's not. I don't want to dwell on this. I just
yeah,
wanted to make
no,
it
no,
a
I
point
understand.
that
And by the way, you differ from what everybody else is saying. Aside from the you want like the Tommy Fury thing. That's the big thing that everybody stumbles on is, oh well, he lost to Tommy Fury. He lost to Tommy Fury. What? The only thing that I could say good about Jake is what he's doing for women's boxing is something phenomenal. He's really shining a light on him.
oh, he definitely is.
And he's getting some of these guys. And I wish he wouldn't do it like this because he has the PFL now. We don't need you to run MVP promotions on the boxing side of things unless you have the team that he has now with what's her
Right.
face? I forget her name. I won't mention it. But we don't need to see you fight 58-year-old MMA Ben Askren, who's got knocked out in 15 seconds by Jorge Masvidal with a flying knee, who's mainly a grappler. We don't need you.
Right.
We don't need this, dude. If you want to be taken seriously as a boxer, and I'll end it with this, dude. If Jake Paul wants to be taken serious as a boxer, fight tomato cans. What he was the last fight he fought before Tyson was perfect for him. Keep fighting those guys, dude. These guys are boxers. What doesn't matter what their record are. Everybody fights tomato cans. Woodley had a bet. Tyron Woodley was on a 5-fight losing streak.
Yep.
5 fight. There's a reason why Dana White is letting go of these people. Nate Diaz, Tyron Woodley, Ben Askren. It's because they're not like Tony Ferguson too. Was released like 2 months ago. The same thing.
Yeah, they're not the same fighters they used to
No,
be.
they're
Obviously, you can't keep fighting. I'll tell you this. To my uncle was a Golden Glove boxer,
Oh yeah, I remember.
right?
I remember you saying that.
And he only had one professional fight, but that's neither here nor there. But a few years ago, he was gonna box again in just a charity event,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and he was probably late 40s at that time, and he blew out his elbow because he was shadow boxing. So like just in training for somebody that's even in their mid 40s is hard.
It
It's hard
is.
for them to do that even for an exhibition.
Yeah.
So he, I don't know. I'm getting fired up about this. You know?
You and me
So
both. I got a little emotional in that last rant, dude.
yeah, so let's get back into the
Yeah,
WWE. Let's
yeah.
get
Okay,
back into
so
this men's elimination chamber.
Logan
So we
Paul.
talked about we talked about Logan Paul.
Yep.
Let's talk about some of the storylines that I think are going to come out of this chamber.
Drew McIntyre.
Drew
Drew
McIntyre
McIntyre.
fucked Drew McIntyre basically.
He did again, and I think now I'm buying into this more. It's from what I got from this dude. It looks like it's a story of Drew McIntyre is losing his fucking mind.
Hmm.
He's and it's to the point where he's losing his mind so fucking much that he's costing himself every opportunity imaginable, and instead of fixing it, it drives him even into more insanity. And he now is thinking, oh, no, 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 I'm not the problem. It's this person, and it's this
Yep.
person, and it's this person who's the problem. And I like that, but where the fuck are we going with this? Because this is,
Right.
dude, we're going on year number 2 with this. Remember, WrestleMania, before that, Money in the Bank, where he got, all of this. So when is this ever going to end? It's a good story. It's a really good story. We just need some, like you mentioned earlier, you're not gonna find out everything. You're not gonna know everything. You're not supposed to know everything. But what we want, and it goes to like think of movies and TV shows. There's always that little hint in a character story of, oh, this might go this way, or this might go this way. With Drew McIntyre right now, there is none. There is no
No.
Easter eggs. There's no hints. There's nothing. It's just Drew McIntyre on national television losing his effing mind every single week and costing himself every single week. And it's getting to the point where it's looking more and more and more like comedy stuff. Like, oh, look at me. I'm silly old Drew, and here I go. How am I going to screw myself this time? And I don't
It
like that
kind of
with Drew.
reminds me of old, not that I want to compare Triple H to Vince, but it kind of reminds me of old Vince booking
It
with
does.
people with wrestlers that he doesn't know what to do with.
It does.
So you give him a comedy bit,
Yeah, yeah. And I don't
but
like the.
we're not seeing like the actual comedy of it. So I
Right,
mean,
right.
I don't know what they do with Drew. I'd like to see him have some sort of belt because of what has been happening with his world title championships. So I don't know. I'd like to see him get the United States or the
I
Intercontinental.
was just going to mention that. So, what do you think about throwing Drew McIntyre into something with Shinsuke Nakamura and LA Knight? It would boost Shinsuke back up, and it would LA Knight and Drew McIntyre have that beef from the Rumble. Put them together. There you go. You
It,
got a triple threat for the
could.
for the United States Championship.
You definitely could, but that would have to wait until they do. I would assume they're going to do the draft again. You know, because
Yeah,
he's on Raw.
right. That brings me to this. So with this whole portal thing, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, when uh, SmackDown wrestlers were able to go to Raw and Raw wrestlers were able to go to
Yeah,
SmackDown for a little bit.
yeah. So if we have that, why are they still? Because yeah, I know what you're talking about with the draft, and they're gonna obviously do the draft. Why are we keeping bouncing around these guys? Because that's what screwed the Wyatts up too.
Yeah, I don't understand. I wish because they bring the draft back so seldomly. Like it wasn't seen for how God knows long. When the titles were unified and stuff, we haven't seen a brand split really. So I wish they would just keep with it. Don't mix SmackDown superstars with Raw superstars unless you're going to do like what they did in the early 2010s or or late 2000s where it was a SmackDown versus Raw. It was that brand supremacy. You
Yeah,
know, what titles were better? Who was the better world heavyweight champion? Who was the better WWE champion? Ba da 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 da. I
yeah,
wish they would just keep it like that.
yeah. Absolutely. And even in those days, the draft actually meant something. Remember
It
Triple
did.
H getting really upset because he was transferred, he was drafted from Raw to SmackDown, and the Undertaker getting pissed because he's the SmackDown guy, but he was traded from SmackDown to Raw, and that's what
Right.
that whole Jeff Hardy thing. And Jeff Hardy winning not the United, the WWE Championship off of all
Yep.
that. Back then, that's one good thing that Vince did during them days is the draft was something that it was a spectacle. We need that again.
Yeah. We definitely do. Um, you know, I I don't want to keep going on this for too long, but
Yeah,
I just wish when
but
the draft comes, maybe something changes.
I
That's
hope
all
so. I
that's
hope
all I
so.
hope.
But
Um,
CM Punk now. CM Punk got a few freaking laughs in that chamber because of that damn light in his pod. That damn light
fix
kept.
the light. Fix the light.
Oh, I lost it when I heard Toronto start chanting that "Fix the light," dude. It's like Jesus, you guys are a multi-billion-dollar company. You can't keep an LED fixture up. Mania. Oh boy. CM Punk though. CM Punk enters right before Cena does, and he goes heavy. Pot opens. He tells the guy, "Open the fucking door," and goes right after Logan Paul. Him and Logan go at it, which brings me to this. In episode 2, I mentioned that him and Paul might go at it at WrestleMania, and it's really looking that we're gonna get
I,
CM Punk versus Logan Paul at WrestleMania 41.
I don't think so.
You don't?
No. I think it's going to be if it has anything to do with Logan Paul, it's going to be a triple threat. Somehow Logan Paul gets in the middle of CM Punk and Seth Rollins because if you remember at the end of the chamber, Seth Rollins screwed CM Punk.
He did. He did.
So
Cena
I think it leads
capitalized.
into something with Seth Rollins.
It should. And with the tweets that are going out, Becky Lynch and speculating that there might be some fondling going on between him, CM Punk, and Roxanne Perez with the matching outfit things. Becky turned around and deleted that, and I thought that was weird because I thought we were just fucking around in kayfabe,
Right.
and so that kind of strikes me as like, okay, what is really going on here? Um, I say Logan and Punk here. I could see that triple threat. You mentioned that, and that's actually a really good idea to throw Logan in there. We need something for Logan to do, and with him starting a beef with CM Punk on the Raw before the Chamber, and then as soon as the door opens, it's Punk versus Logan, going at each other, and then it ties into Seth Rollins as well, with Seth screwing, CM Punk and having John capitalize on that.
Right.
It's uh, it's really confusing times around this WrestleMania season because you never know
Oh,
who's
it
gonna go
definitely
win.
is. And I also think this is where Seth kind of heel changes
I agree. I actually agree with that, dude. CM
because
Punk,
of everything that's been going on with Seth Rollins, with
yeah,
him losing. It's almost kind of the Drew McIntyre effect a little bit.
yeah,
But Seth Rollins isn't blaming anybody else.
no,
He's
no,
blaming himself, and
yeah,
that's where his heel turn's going to happen.
absolutely. And then when the cameras went to commercial break on Monday in Buffalo, you seen Seth Rollins? He went from that backstage run. He went right back up to the ramp. CM Punk is sitting there boasting with the crowd, playing off as a face, whereas Seth is just furious, furious, and more furious. Cameras come back on, and then all of a sudden you see these two again. Um, I could see Seth Rollins turning heel. Uh, I don't know how big of a pop he'll get for that, especially because we're already seeing Cena, and Cena kind of taking all of that limelight.
Right.
I would like
Right.
to see Seth turn heel. I really would. I honestly, I want Seth to drop the freaking name. I want him to go back just to Seth Rollins. He's even went out and said, because that was a Vince thing where Vince labeled him as Seth freaking Rollins, and he it looks like he was growing old of it too. So with this heel turn, maybe we get that, and maybe a little architect Seth Rollins, mix
Oh,
that with what he's got going on now.
I
Uh,
definitely think so. I think if anything, he goes back to being the architect because that was the heel.
Yeah,
move for him, and
yeah.
he stops wearing the funky outfits and stuff, and then just becomes more serious.
And I think that those outfits that he wears are just to get people talking about him.
Oh yeah, definitely,
You know,
definitely,
and because
most
he
definitely.
wants that. Oh well, he's back in Becky's closet, and all those type of things, dude. You know, and that's what I say every Monday when I see him. Oh, what outfit of Becky's is he bringing out tonight? You know.
Right.
So Seth
So,
Rollins has got multiple ways to head to WrestleMania. Let's move on to Mr. Cena, huh?
oh yeah, definitely Cena winning. We didn't call that at all, did we?
No, that was completely a shock thing.
Yeah, we definitely called that. It was between him and CM Punk, and I think we both just assumed it was going to be John Cena. Um, the John Cena heel turn, everybody's seen it coming. That was the big moment of Elimination Chamber, but I think there was a bigger moment. And you want to know what that moment was?
What's that?
Do you want to know what that moment was?
What's that?
Cody Rhodes telling The Rock to fuck himself
Oh
on a
man.
WWE programming.
You know
That
how
has
pissed
never
I was?
happened before.
Do you know how pissed I was when I showed up on Monday to the KeyBank Center and they bleeped that shit out after posting it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Reddit, all over the place. They didn't bleep it out then, and now they're gonna bleep it out because it's Monday and it's on Netflix. Think of how
Yep.
many shows and movies you watch on Netflix that have way worse language than the word fuck in it. I mean, come on,
No,
guys. We're
I just thought that was the biggest shock because everybody saw John Cena turning heel. Everybody knew it was going to happen. We just didn't know how.
right.
And that just the the word fuck being spoken on WWE programming is just
I don't think
it,
it's
it, it
happened on a hot
shocked me
mic.
to my core because it's never happened before.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think it. I mean, we've gotten other words, but we've never gotten fuck on a hot mic live
No,
on television.
never. Never. Unless it was ad libbed and the WWE didn't know about it, Triple H didn't know about it.
Yeah,
But I assumed they knew about it because I mean, Rock knows what's going to happen. Rock obviously he's part of TKO.
yeah,
I'm sure he has something to do with booking and whatnot.
yeah, yeah.
And Rock looked calm, cool, and collected
Oh yeah.
after that.
How about Cena selling that?
Oh, Cena did a great job.
Cena
I
selling
think
that word fuck was incredible. And then Michael Cole too. He didn't drop the f bomb, but he when Cena did his thing, and we'll get into that. But Michael Cole was dropping some. Oh, what the hell is this shit? And
yeah.
all this other thing on commentary.
I
So
know
that was
that
a
kind
good
of
performance.
shocked me too. I was
And I was
like,
like,
Michael Cole saying a bad word like
yeah,
that? What
I
the
expect that from
hell?
McAfee. I did not expect that from Michael Cole.
No,
Which brings
not
me
at
to
all.
this. Look what Pat McAfee is bringing to the commentary table. You know, I love the Pat McAfee show on College Game Day and all that stuff. Um, but seeing, we talked about Logan coming into the company, Pat coming into the company, doing his thing in NXT, coming up, joining commentary. We are seeing a new Michael Cole now, and
Oh,
dude, I
definitely.
am all for it, because you know, in the past we got Michael Cole on the laptop as the GM, in the glass box when he was pretending to be a wrestler, and now he has an undefeated streak at WrestleMania. Um, to all of that stuff to Michael. Michael was he's the voice of WWE, but that was just it. Now we're starting to see him on top of the announce table, yeeting and dropping foul language on live TV, and we're seeing a
Yeah, he's
whole new
getting
side to
into it
Michael
more.
Cole, and
Yeah, he's
I'm
definitely getting
loving it.
into it more.
Yeah,
And I
definitely.
wonder if it has something to do with because he said he's about 5 years, I think I saw, and he's done. So I wonder if he's just trying to get the most out of his time.
Real quick, who takes over for Cole? You think it's Corey?
I don't know. I don't know if it'll be Corey Graves, maybe Wade Barrett, because Wade Barrett's really good
Oh
commentating.
yeah. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna say it's gonna be Corey Graves is gonna take over that lead, and then Wade Barrett's gonna be the new Corey Graves because I would say Pat, but Pat can't handle that schedule. Not because
No.
of anything other than he's got game day. He's on ESPN every day. He
Yep.
definitely can't take that. So it's looking more and more like it's going to be either Wade Barrett or Corey Graves taking over. I don't
Yeah,
know because
unless
it's
they would
great.
bring back like Booker or JBL.
Oh, Booker's down on
You know,
NXT.
that's what I mean though. What if they move Booker back to main program?
Oh yeah. I wouldn't mind that because Booker's actually doing some really good work on commentary himself, and he's got
Right.
the reality of wrestling, and that's a really good show as well. But yeah, so that segment itself, between and then Travis Scott being in there, people were all upset about that. I seen one guy, and he looked to be like maybe 5 years older than us, and he was like, oh, I don't get this Travis Scott thing. I don't even know who the fuck this guy is. He said I asked all my friends on who he is, and I had no idea. This guy lives in America. It's like, well, maybe ever thought stop and think that maybe that wasn't for you, and it's mainly for like the younger audience. That's why they're bringing Travis Scott in.
With that and speculating that he's doing Cena's new theme song.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, these guys will nitpick over anything nowadays. Just because you don't know somebody doesn't make it, great TV. They're obviously doing it for a
Oh,
reason.
definitely.
I
And
like.
I also saw that Travis Scott's training to wrestle.
Oh yeah. The Rock said that in the post conference that the post press conference. He said that we should expect Travis Scott to be in the ring, involved in this storyline sometime soon. So that'll be really exciting. How or
Yeah, I
where,
think
I
so.
don't know. But I will tell you this one thing. Travis Scott, you're a son of a bitch for how you did Cody Rhodes with that fucking slap, my boy. That was rough. I mean, you seen Cody's head on like maybe an inch bounce off the mat from that fucking right hand.
Oh, definitely. Definitely did.
You see the way he turned his head too? He's like, Cody, he after he got that slap from Travis, he said, "Oh shit," and he turned his head. He's like, "No more, no more stiff shots, bro."
I don't I'm excited to see. I think we should move
Yeah,
on from the WWE, but I am excited to see uh what Cena and Rhodes and The Rock and Travis Scott have in store for WrestleMania. I think it's going to be a great time. Um,
yeah,
we're about we're about an hour into it, close to it. So we're gonna move into the match card for the UFC. We're not gonna spend a lot of time on this.
new.
Uh, like I said in the previous podcast, you're more the fighting sport follower. I watch it, but I don't follow it. So why don't you tell us about the card and the the light heavyweight title bout?
Yeah. So, folks, we got USC 313 coming up tomorrow, and it's going to be live on ESPN Plus. The prelims will be on ESPN. You'll be able to watch that on ESPN or ESPN Plus. Um, it's USC 313 Pereira versus Ankalaev, and this is the match that everybody has wanted to see. For a while since I would say since Pereira has jumped up to light heavyweight, they've been wanting to see this guy get tested and tested again. He beat Khalil Roundtree, and people thought that it was going to be Khalil Roundtree taking that home, and Pereira, got the victory on that one. I think that this is going to be a really good fight. Pereira is not the underdog. He's favored 112 to 108. And dude, this is going to be a fantastic fight. Magomed Ankalaev is one of those Dagestan wrestlers um, from Russia. The guy's 20 and 1, dude. 20 and 1 with one no contest. Alex Pereira is 12 and 2, and dude, I'm so excited because it's one of those fights where you definitely can't be like, oh well, this dude is likely to win, even though I just read you off the DraftKings numbers. It's, by the way, it's negative 112 to negative 108. So these guys are neck and neck. Magomedov is obviously the better at grappling, while Alex uh, Pereira is the better striker. The things to look out for are uh, the takedowns. If you're Alex Pereira, be aware of them takedowns. These Dagestani guys, they do not mess around. They want to get that fight to the ground as quick as possible because that's where they thrive at. Um, Other than that,
And
we got Justin Gaethje fighting as well. How long do we have Justin Gaethje for? I say that we maybe, depending on what his UFC deal is, I would say that 4, maybe 5 max fights left. Um, he especially after that Max Holloway KO with the final second, Max Holloway drops Justin Gaethje flat on the mat, and that was that. I think that Justin ain't got much longer to go. Speaking of that, on the fight that's going to start the main card off is Bobby Green versus Rufy. And dude, I think Bobby Green, he calls himself King Green now. Stop it. You're Bobby. You're Bobby Green. You can have the nicknames, but you're Bobby Green, bro. You're not Chad Johnson. Uh,
yeah, I could see that. And I mean, just from what I'm looking at, he's not even ranked.
yeah,
So how can he be King Green?
exactly. I mean, every fighter you see is going to think that he's a 10 out of 10 fighter. This is one of those cases where Bobby Green he's an elite striker, but his opponent has excellent takedown defense. He's 100% actually in takedown defense, dude. So that's going to be tough for Bobby Green. I mean, but like I said, Bobby is a great striker. Uh, I believe Bobby has lost his last fight.
Yeah, he did. He
Yeah,
lost his last fight.
yeah, and Rufy is
Ruffy won his.
Rufy is coming off of a W, so I expect him to keep on going with them wins, and maybe this is it for Bobby Green. Uh, I mean, it's tough to say because Bobby has what 21 fights? No, it's higher than that. I think you have his Zach. Do you have his Bobby Green's record up there? It should be in
Yeah,
the high 20s, ain't it?
he's got 32 wins,
Yeah,
16 losses, and one no contest to Ruffy's 11-1.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's time for Bobby to call it quits. Not like Zach had said, he's not even ranked. You're not ranked in the top 15. How much longer do you want to go? And the whole I want to test myself against these young guys, right? Why are you saying this when you're not even ranked? You're not even ranked, and you're out here trying to test them for what? It's not like you're gonna go anywhere anytime soon.
No,
I mean, I respect the dog in him to want to keep on fighting, and you know I I I haven't stepped inside the cage. I grapple in jujitsu, and I'm 31, and I still have that competitor in me, so I understand. But even in jujitsu, I do have an age where I want to stop and call it quits. I love being able to walk without pain and to think the way I think and not have my brain be battered and scrambled and stuff like that, or my limbs be
right.
torn and stuff like that. By the time I'm 40, I'm good on all that. I'm good on all that, and I think other fighters are starting to realize that. It's just some of them. It's gonna take a while. Like Nate Diaz, I think that he's another one of those guys who should think about maybe one more fight and leaving. Tony Ferguson is a big one. He was released. I said that earlier in the pod. Tony Ferguson was released by the UFC and he signed with another promotion, which it threw me off. I mean, the dude has had mental health struggles, and he was cheated in the UFC by that Khabib thing. Tony Ferguson was, and I'm a huge Boogeyman fan. I think El Kukui will go down as one of the greatest lightweights of all time, right behind Khabib and obviously Conor McGregor. But yeah, El and the guys that are like him should think about hanging it up those older guys, especially, like I said, you're coming off of all these lost streaks and stuff like that. It should be a hint to you. Um, but yeah, USC 313 is going to be a banger. If you're a betting man, I would go ahead and I would take that on Pereira just as a safety net. Um, Only because we've seen what he did to Khalil Roundtree, and a lot of people thought he was going to lose. Alex was going to lose that fight, and he didn't. So give it credit where credit is due, dude. Alex Pereira wins, but it's not the way people think. Like Ankalaev is not getting knocked out here, dude. He is not getting knocked out. Those Russian
Yeah,
and
I
Dagestan guys, they're built different, man.
from what I know of the UFC, I mean, strikers have a hard time with grapplers once they get to the ground. Um, I mean, and you look at their match stats, the matchup stats, they're pretty close. I mean,
Oh yeah, yep,
Pereira's only an inch taller.
yeah.
He's got a 4 inch reach over uh, Enclave. He's 79 inches to 75, and then the Russian has a 46-inch leg reach to Pereira's 44. So there's not much of an advantage on either side. So
Not at all.
it probably will be a banger of a fight.
Oh,
And
absolutely. It will. One thing that Magomed Ankalaev has to look out for is them subtle leg kicks from Alex Pereira. He in the way the way Alex does those legs kicks is it's weird, and his fighting stance, he doesn't keep his hands up. He keeps them down to about chest level, and the way he uses them legs like a whip. He's only 44 inches in leg reach is, compared to 46 is a small difference, but those leg kicks thrown by Alex Pereira, who was a kickboxing champion at one point in time, the guy who has beaten Israel Adesanya, um, he knows how to land them shots. He knows how to land them shots, and he knows how to land them clean. I mean, Jamal Hill was a victim of one of those shots from Alex Pereira, and Jamal Hill still hasn't been the same. He just lost to Yuri Prohaska at the last event, and so those guys who have fought Alex Pereira before have just they ain't the same after. They usually go in, they usually go down to Brazil and start training with him. After they get spanked by him, yeah, it's time to call up Alex Poatan Pereira to head down to Brazil to get some work in. These guys have always been training with him after they lose to him, and even down to the women fighter, the women's division is actually taking these notes on Alex. I've seen a few of them start to train down there with him. The guy's
oh, I believe that.
very knowledgeable in fighting, and I'm really excited for this UFC 313 card on ESPN Plus. But that's all I got for the UFC side of things, dude.
All right. Well, we're gonna move into the big topic. We got about a half hour. We can talk about this. Um, so all the NFL news. I mean, it's coming in waves and bunches all week. Um, I'm just gonna highlight a few things that I've noticed. CD Lamb restructuring his contract, creating 20 million in cap space for the Cowboys. Also, Dak Prescott, he restructured. I think that created another like 50 million or something like that. Not to keep bringing up the Cowboys, but that's a big re-signing for the Cowboys. Oso Digizua, defensive tackle, he signed a four-year, $80 million deal with 58 million guaranteed. Uh, and then Saquon Barkley, he signed a 2-year extension with the Eagles. Uh, who else signed extensions? There was a couple other ones, but that's not the big news that we're going to get into. The big news is all these trades that are kind of shocking. Let's start with Joe Thuney to the Bears. What'd you think of that?
I thought it was really good for the Bears. I didn't really expect that from the Chiefs, though, considering they have another offensive guard on the market. And Trey Smith, we don't know anything about him yet, where he's going or if he's plans on re-signing with Kansas City. So this is a big move for Kansas City. They also said on Twitter as well, on NFL, on the NFL's account, that the Chiefs have some type of star guard that they're planning on bringing in. I don't know who it is or what the case is on that yet, but um, yeah, the Chiefs are seem to be making moves. I don't want to say big moves or good moves or bad moves because we don't know what kind of moves they're making. But on the other side of things, dude, this is really good for the Chicago Bears. They got a young quarterback in Caleb Williams. They got a solid defense. It wasn't too bad. I'm not gonna say it was awful. I'm not gonna say it was good. They still got a lot of work to do on both sides of the ball. Yeah, veteran and Keenan Allen still, don't they?
Yes.
Yes, they got some, and they got DeAndre Swift in the backfield, I believe, and this is gonna bring some positives to Caleb Williams, and you want to protect him as much as you can. I mean, think of last year. He was
All
in
right.
trouble a lot.
Oh,
So
he
picking
was,
up
and
Joe
bringing in a
Thuney,
guy like Joe Thuney
yeah,
is big.
that's really
Um,
big.
let's. There's one that just came in maybe an hour ago, a little over. Uh, one that really kind of shocked me a little bit. Gino.
Oh yeah, Geno. So
Seahawks
Geno Smith.
trading Gino.
Yeah, so Geno Smith gets traded to the Raiders. Yeah, he gets traded to the Raiders for a third round pick, and that kind of threw me off because Seattle seems to be cleaning house and going into immediate rebuild mode. They get now Tyler Lockett's gone, Geno
Yep.
Smith's gone, and now DK Metcalf is on the chopping block for some reason, and I
Well,
just don't
he
see.
requested a trade, didn't he?
Oh yeah, I'm not quite sure. Let me see. I thought,
I'm pretty sure DK requested it.
yeah, I don't know. But either way, I'm not. If I'm Seattle, I wouldn't let him go unless you're giving me. Oh no, that's right. That's right because I asked for a first rounder for him.
Yeah.
Yep. So the Seattle Seahawks want a first rounder for him. If I'm Seattle though, aside from Ted McMillan and Travis Hunter, who are you really going to choose from? Tez Johnson just bombed at the combine. For a receiver, Zach, 40-yard dash, 4.50. For a receiver. A receiver. That is insane. How are you that slow as a receiver? Great numbers. PFF has him ranked. I mean, not ranked. PFF has him graded at a 93, somewhere in there between 93 and 95, I believe it is, um, for this last two seasons or this last season. And I just don't see Seattle, you know, making any big moves or splashes this off season, considering that they they sent Geno packing. They released no that they got rid of I just Tyler Lockett as
Yep.
well, and now DK wants out of there too, and good for him. We're starting to see this across the uh, the league right now, and that's what I have on my notes as well. Is I wanted to ask you, do you think that these players are starting to realize that it doesn't matter how much money you make if you're not winning meaningful football games? I mean, we have the thing going on in Cleveland that DK wants out. Um, so Miles Garrett from Cleveland and DK Metcalf from the wide receiver out of Seattle. They want to go out and they want to start winning, dude. They want to start winning. Seattle, they're a low end playoff, contender. They were there in the NFC West for a while, hanging on. And Cleveland is not the same. They're last, and they're a dumpster fire with everything they
Oh
got
yeah.
going on. And Zach will bring up the whole thing with Deshaun Watson later, but that's my question: is do you think that these players are starting to realize, like, yo, it don't matter how much fucking money you make if you're not winning Super Bowls or playoff games?
I think that has a lot to do with it. I mean, look at Miles Garrett. How long has he been in the league? You know,
12, I think it is 12 years, something like that.
something like that. And he spent his whole career dedicated to the Cleveland Browns, and when he probably should have requested a trade a long time ago, because he's just tired of losing, and I don't blame him. I feel like I'd be the same way. Uh, you don't want to stay on a team. You just keep losing. You're not contending. It'd be different if the Browns like were consistently making the playoffs, consistently winning games,
Yeah,
and and being on the cusp of making it to a Super Bowl, and they haven't been that
at all. Since
at all.
Baker Mayfield.
Right, right. Well, and so I think Miles Garrett started the domino effect. I mean, again, we're DK Metcalf. He's requesting a trade. He's been in Seattle for how long? He's been around the league for a little bit, and he's tired of losing.
Yeah,
Not that the Seahawks didn't do a good job last year. They went 10-7 or something like that. They made the
yep,
playoffs, but that was the first time in how long?
right.
And you couldn't predict that because you never knew what Geno Smith was going to do. You didn't know if you were going to get the Jets Geno Smith or you were going to get something else, and that's what I mean. They got something else, but you could have very well got the Jets Geno Smith and tanked hard.
Right,
Yeah,
right. Geno
it's
Smith.
so.
Geno Smith is one of those journeymen to me. He started in with the Jets. I believe he was drafted by the Jets.
Yep,
And Brian Arakpo was the one who busted his jaw, right? Or somebody,
I think so.
one of those linebackers in New York did that to him. And I always took him as a backup best quarterback, and really proved me wrong with his work in Seattle. I think that he'll be a great bridge player down in Las Vegas for whoever that they have planned on coming in if they draft a quarterback in this draft. I do not know if they will.
I,
Because for a while the Raiders were looking at Shador Sanders, right?
yeah, they were, and I actually saw an article uh, from Sportskeeda and that Shador's draft stock is like
Oh yeah,
coming down.
yeah it
It,
is.
it's not looking good for Shador. So I don't think he goes. I don't think Las Vegas takes him at 6. No way. Um, I could see Seattle taking him at 18. I could see him dropping that low.
Yeah, I think that what we're seeing here is. I mean,
Because I mean,
I
who
wasn't
who
that high on
else
him.
who else would be who else would drop to 18? That's worthy of drafting. Uh, I don't think Cam Ward would drop down that
There's
far.
no
I
way.
mean,
There's no
he's
way
the
Cam
first
Ward.
ranked
Yeah, he's not going
QB in
nowhere.
this draft.
Cam Ward. It's safe to say that the Titans are really high on Cam Ward, and that's where Cam Ward is going to go. He's going to go to Tennessee with the overall number one overall pick. Shador Sanders, like I said, I wasn't that high on him to begin with. I thought he was. I'm going to go out and I'll say it. Zach opposes me on it. I think that Shador is going to be a bust, and I think that people are starting to see that he's not going to like. I'm not saying that he's like other people are saying it, but I'm saying that people are starting to realize like we have better quarterbacks. Will Howard, national champion. Um, Riley Leonard from Notre Dame. Um, you got Jalen Milroe from Alabama. Um, those are just to name a few of these quarterbacks that are coming into the league. Uh, Shador. One thing I will say about Shador Sanders though is that he was able to make the best out of every situation he was. Went from Jackson State, with that OC, and he did ball out. He didn't have the greatest offensive line in Jackson State, and then he goes over to Colorado. Same situation with the offensive line. Not a very good offensive line. He's pressured. He was the most sacked there, and he still made headlines, and he still played really good football. Um, to me, I just don't. Other than the Giants, maybe the Raiders, Seattle, like you said. I
Well,
don't
yeah,
know of
because
any other team.
what's Seattle going to do at quarterback now? You know,
They're
uh,
gonna have to rely on Minnesota here. If they need a bridge player there. If they're gonna unless you're picking within the top 10, you're gonna need to get some type of bridge player there, somebody who has experience. Um, kind of like what the Patriots did with Drake May last year. Jacoby Brissett comes in from week one, starts to week 6 or 7, and then Drake comes in and finishes the season out. You're gonna need something like that there in Seattle. For anybody that's not Cam Ward, um, because Cam Ward is a day one starter. He can go in to Tennessee and he can let it fly, and that's coming from everybody on CBS and ESPN out there. I mean, Cam Ward is showing really, really, really good stuff there. Shador, he is as well, but is not on the same level as Cam Ward.
Right. I could see somebody maybe taking a chance on him, but I could also see Shador going undrafted just because of some of the stuff I've seen. Um, so let's move on to some other news. We got to try to crunch a lot of stuff into a small amount of
We
time
were
here.
talking about Myles Garrett. Why don't we go there?
Yeah, Myles Garrett. Does anybody pay his price tag? Does anybody trade away a first round pick for Myles
So
Garrett?
for Myles Garrett, it's not really. I want to say it's cut and dry, but it's almost not because he requested a meeting with this owner. Everybody else is saying no, we're not going to release you. Um, for Myles Garrett, he said he wants to play meaningful football, just like the others, and I really believe it. This is a guy that really embraced not just the NFL team of the Cleveland Browns, but the city of Cleveland and the state of Ohio. This guy was out in the streets, food banks, food drives, charity events, children's hospital, all kinds of things. This guy really embraced and he really lived the Cleveland, energy there. So for him to come out, after playing so long and saying, "Listen, guys, I don't know how much gas I have left in this tank, but while I still have this gas left in this tank, I want to go play real, meaningful football in the playoffs. He wants a championship, and I don't blame him.
Yep.
Like I said earlier,
Yep.
these guys are starting to realize that. Yeah, go ahead, be the highest paid, whatever skilled player. It don't matter unless you're winning titles, trophies, anything.
Right.
The Browns haven't been in the playoffs since Baker Mayfield, and even then they didn't make it that far. And we've seen Myles Garrett in them types of plays in the playoffs where he can come through and hold it down on defense.
Yep.
What team is looking for at him? I say all the rest of the league, the 31 teams that aren't the Browns that are looking at him. Uh, Oakland, I mean, the Las Vegas. I could see them adding to the other side of Mason Crosby. That would be huge. I don't think that they would be able to afford him. Seattle, they're going to need some type of presence on any side of the ball. They'll be able to take them. But the big one that I see now is the New England Patriots. And the reason why is that they have the most money. And from what
But
I
we know he doesn't care about money though, and would he want to go to a rebuilding Patriots team?
it all depends. It all depends on, and I think that this. By the way, I think that this Myles Garrett thing is not gonna be a one and done. I don't think he's gonna. I don't think that the Browns are gonna release him tomorrow. What I think is gonna happen is they're gonna let this drag out because Miles is saying I'm not gonna play any games. He already said that he's not playing anything if they don't release him. He doesn't want to play as a Brown no more. So it all depends on the moves that New England's making, and so far they're not making any moves. They didn't offer the right amount for what we just said him. He got signed. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. I can't remember. But Joe Thuney. Yeah.
Yep.
So New England was in the race for that, and then they didn't. I don't know why they didn't go out and offer top dollar for him,
Maybe that was an
considering the
age
line.
thing because Joe Thuney's in his 30s, ain't he?
I think he's the third D1.
It could it could be an age thing. Not that linemen don't last a while in the league
No, but we
because they
said it
do.
before, where these guys are taking a lot of shots. They're
Oh, they
in the
are.
trenches. So I do think that age does make a difference. But as far
And
as
that's why I don't think anybody's going to give up like a higher first round draft pick for Miles Garrett. I could see maybe Detroit. I know I seen
Detroit could
some.
use him.
I seen some things that Detroit is in talks with the Browns. I don't know how true that is. Um, so Detroit, I could see them giving up their 28th pick. Um, I don't see anything higher than a 20, like the 20th pick.
But
Like,
honestly, dude, if I'm Cleveland and all I'm asking for is a first rounder, this draft class is really deep for offensive linemen, edge rushers, and stuff like
well,
that.
I've seen some mock drafts that say the Browns take Abdul Carter,
Oh, I wouldn't
and
I
and
wouldn't be
maybe
surprised.
with these with this stuff with Miles Garrett, they take Abdul Carter because they're going to need an edge rusher.
Oh yeah, yeah. So that brings up another good point. Cleveland is sent with the second round pick. I mean, the second overall pick. So why not get back into the first round to get a weapon of any sort, whether it be
Right.
offense or defense? Take Abdul Carter, get back into what you said, the 28th pick. Yeah, take that. I'm gonna try and get back into the first round in any way that I can to get any of these talents.
Yeah, even if it's Philadelphia, say Philadelphia gives up their 32nd pick, take it.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
and I mean Philly's losing some pieces, so who knows? They could be in the running for Miles Garrett as
Oh
well.
yeah, Jack
Um,
Sawyer from Ohio State. He's another great edge rusher. Princely Umanyalan from Ole Miss, another great edge rusher. Take these guys.
correct.
Take
Yeah,
these
I
guys. You don't need Miles Garrett right now. You don't. That's the last
no,
thing
you
you have to be
don't.
worried about.
I think the big thing for the Browns is I don't know care how many pieces they get. They're still going to be a trash football team, and I think that has a lot to do with ownership and coaching and
Right.
whatnot. But let's move on from
Wait.
Miles Garrett.
Right. Real quick though. Not on Miles Garrett, but the Browns. You said it. Would you put them in the? Would you put them in the same category as the Jets
No,
as a dumpster fire? Because that's where I have them. Because
I
look at
have
the Jets did with Aaron Rodgers, and now look what the Browns did with Deshaun Watson, and now look at what the Jets have done. Getting rid of all the players that they were so high on. They immediately the year after, and now Cleveland is in a stint with they're arguably the greatest defensive end to in Cleveland.
I mean, yeah, I don't know if that has something to do with coaching or ownership with the Jets.
Woody Johnson sucks dick.
They had a defense that could win. They had a defense that could win, and they still do. I don't think they really lost any pieces. I think that the right coaching, the Jets could be playoff team. I don't think they're a complete dumpster fire like Cleveland. I put the New York Giants as a dumpster fire,
Oh
but
yeah, yeah. No. I
but
I
so
agree.
so let's move on. We got about 20 minutes left, or
Yep.
maybe a little less.
Nah, we have
Um,
it's 123:42.
let's talk about some of these releases.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there's some decent names on there. You got Jonathan Allen from the Commanders.
Oh yeah.
I don't think anybody really seen that coming.
Nope. Not at all.
I
Especially as a
mean,
Lions fan.
he's been a mainstay in Washington for a long time.
Oh yeah.
Um, and then you got some other names here. Michael Gallup from the Raiders. That's kind of a blind side because they don't have a wide receiver, and Michael Gallup is a decent number 2 receiver.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Um, Joey Bosa, I think people saw that coming.
Yeah. I think that you and I actually said that on episode one. I want to say it's episode
2.
one. We
It was
said that.
episode 2.
It was okay. So episode
Yeah.
two. Yeah. We said that Joey Bosa should be parting ways. Um, I was the one. I mean, we both said the Joey Bosa thing, but I was the one who said that they were going to do some with Khalil Mack as well. Um, I don't
I
think that.
haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah, that is yet to happen. But yeah, Joey Bosa. Uh, let's talk about him real quick, dude. Great edge, edge rusher. Where's the best fit for Joey Bosa right now, and why?
He needs to go to a team that's contending and that has a decent or even a better defensive coach. Um, I could honestly, I could see the Cowboys getting him and pair because I think the Cowboys have some sort of ties in with trying for Myles Garrett. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'd be okay if they spent a little bit of their money that they just freed up on Joey Bosa. I mean, I can't imagine that Joey would ask for a lot. I mean, he's kind of older. He's probably in the later stages of, him close to retirement. So I'd be okay with that. I could also see another team that's not strapped for money. I mean, you brought up the New England Patriots. I could see the Patriots going after him. There's a lot of teams I think he could easily fit on. Even the Seahawks. I could see the Seahawks taking him.
Buffalo.
So Buffalo. Buffalo's known for taking kind of out of
Say
prime
it like it
defensive
is.
players. Von Miller. Um,
Oh no. Oh
so
no.
so I can see Joey Bosa going a couple different places, and I think he'll do well. He's been a solid edge rusher his whole career,
Yeah.
and I don't think much changes. I think he's obviously lost a step. His numbers ain't as good as they used to be, but that comes with age, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, for sure. I say Buffalo. I say Buffalo's gonna take him just because of what you said, dude. These guys are known for taking veterans. Um, Joey, I won't say Joey's past his prime as far as playing skills because he is, he's producing a lot more than Von Miller did. That's for sure. Um, I think that with Buffalo, the Bills Mafia hammering on this team to get more on defense, I think it's really opening their eyes on this right now. And Buffalo is one of those teams that, like you said, uh, that are due for a win. Um, they gotta get past Pat Mahomes. That's their kryptonite right now, and in order to do that, you need to stack these guys up on the line, just like the
Yep,
Eagles did. The Eagles set the blueprint, and now all these AFC teams, um, who Pat Mahomes is lurking on, should be taking notes and taking, like you mentioned it, Jonathan Allen from the Commanders. Big surprise to me. Um,
definitely.
I see these teams in the AFC starting to pick this up, and slowly but surely, we'll start to see uh, more AFC teams in the Super Bowl, other than Kansas City, if these guys' defenses, take notes on what Philadelphia did. Jonathan Allen should
Definitely.
go. Well, first of all, Washington should have just kept this guy. I would have
Yeah,
never
they
done.
should have.
I would have just drafted some stuff. I mean, if they didn't have the funds to pay him, okay, so be it. But I really would have kept him. Uh, there was nothing wrong with, the old saying is if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
And that's what's going on in Washington right now, except for them just trading a big piece of their defense.
Yeah, I wish they would have kept him because he's been a lifer there. I mean, he was there when they were the Redskins. He's been there a long time.
Yeah, hey man, what is
Um,
up with Washington getting rid of all their defensive lines? Remember, before Jonathan Allen, it was Chase Young.
yep,
That is
yep.
insane to me.
It's Montez Sweat too. I think he was. They got rid of him too.
Yeah, and he plays for. Is it Philly now?
Yeah, I think Sweat plays for
Yeah, I think
Philly.
it's. Yeah, I think he plays for Philly now. Yeah, dude. And but yeah, so going back to Joey Bosa, I really think that the best fit for him right now is the Elephant Graveyard, is what I'm labeling it, in Buffalo.
It definitely could be. We'll move on to Tyler Lockett.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if anybody really saw that coming.
I
They might have.
they call this
I
thing Massacre Week, dude, for a reason. I just don't see
Yeah,
these big guys like Tyler Lockett, excellent slot receiver, played his position very well. DK, I would have honestly, I'd rather them get rid of DK before Tyler. I had Tyler Lockett on my fantasy, and he did not, bro. I was in the title game. The ring is sitting right up above me, because of Tyler Lockett and them boys. I'd rather, if you gave me a choice and said, hey, you have to get rid of DK or you have to get rid of Tyler, I'm choosing DK. You'll get more value out of him, and there's still some youth inside Tyler Lockett.
oh yeah, Tyler Lockett is a solid slot receiver,
Oh yeah,
and if he doesn't retire, he's going to be a menace for another team.
Real quick, since you have,
You know,
I'm sure you have the stats up. Could you, what was his receiving yards?
oh, let's see.
Oh my, I'm sorry, I thought you had it up.
No, I didn't have it up right away. Right here. Let's see. For last season, he had 600 yards.
600 yards.
Yeah,
How many touchdowns?
2.
So he wasn't the leading receiver in Seattle.
No,
It was
no, he
DK.
wasn't. I would assume it was DK Metcalf.
I'm still getting rid of DK. DK.
Yeah, the thing of it is though, it's Tyler is he's more reliable.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
He's
for
been
sure.
reliable his whole career since 2015 when he started with the Seahawks.
Yeah.
You know, and that's another guy I feel like they should have kept and just let him retire as a Seahawk.
Yeah,
You
absolutely. And
know,
that's no shot on DK. I have his jersey again hanging right back behind me. Fantastic athlete, freak of an athlete. Built like a brick shit house. He's got speed. He's got hands. Any team that picks him up or trades for him, you have a good receiver in your
oh, you
hands.
definitely do.
Um, but yeah, I agree with you on this, dude. I would have never gotten rid of Tyler Lockett. I would
No,
have kept him. So
there's veteran guys that are lifers to those teams. I don't agree with teams releasing
especially if
players like that.
if they're putting numbers up. You know what I mean? Think
Right,
about like how we were just talking about Von Miller. You know, not great numbers at all. And this is a shell of what this man used to be. I mean, the strip
right.
sack artist of what he was, dude, till now. That's okay. I understand that, but like you said, these guys who are lifers to these teams and still delivering, want just let them go. Let them
Right.
go. They're bound if they're not. If the morale is up and everything else, keep them. There's nothing wrong
Yep.
with it.
Yep. That's what I say.
As long as they know their worth though, because a lot of these players, Stephon Diggs is one of them. A lot of these players out here, dude, think that they still got the juice, but they do not have the juice. They'll get
No.
you. They'll get you. About 500, about maybe a little over 500.
Maybe Tyler Lockett's numbers.
Yeah, yeah, but
But I don't think they're as reliable as Tyler.
no, no,
That's the
not at
thing.
all, not at all. And Stefan really irritated me with his work in Buffalo because we seen what he did in Minnesota to get out of Minnesota, and he did the same thing in Buffalo to get out of Buffalo, and now look at him, in Houston. And by the way, I don't think Houston's gonna resign this guy. I think they're gonna. I think
You
they're
think
done
they
with him.
release him?
Yeah, I mean they got Tank Dell down there, um, and did they just they traded for what's his name, Christian Kirk, didn't they?
Yeah, I
So
think so.
so
Yeah.
yeah, there's no chance in hell that Stephon Diggs is a Houston Texans at the start of the
It,
2025 season.
speaking of wide receivers, we're going to go to another big name
Yeah,
here. Devontae Adams.
I think he's done.
You don't think anybody takes him?
Um,
And he's the same age as Tyler Lockett.
yeah, what was his what was his production like
Oh, he's not the
coming
same
to the
age.
Jets?
He's a year older.
Oh, it's still
Um,
not that bad.
no, but his 2024
I don't think it was.
stats,
I know he was up there, but I don't think it was
he
that.
had 854 yards and 7 touchdowns.
Right. Not everybody's going to get over 1,000 receiving yards.
No,
We understand that, but for Devontae, maybe I'm. You know what? I'll give him one more year. One more year, and I want to say go back to LV the Raiders, but I don't see that happening.
no.
I see the Bengals. The Bengals are really good. They could use somebody. They just re-signed. I mean, not re-signed. They just put the tag on T. Higgins. They got Jamar Chase, and they, uh, they could use somebody like I mean, sorry, not Metcalf. Fuck. I forget.
Devontae.
Yeah, Devonte Adams. I don't know why I have DK in my head, but yeah,
I
I
think
think
I think almost any team in the league would want Devontae Adams. It's just what are teams going to be willing to pay for a 32-year-old wide receiver?
Like, it can't be. Again, like going back to the whole thing I said about Stephon Diggs. A lot of these players think that they're worth something because of who they are. The household name thing and all this other things. Devontae, me, his numbers aren't bad at all. Uh, but again, like when when the chips are down, when the chips are down, I need you to produce.
Right.
And in New York, he wasn't doing much of that.
No.
From what I've
And he
seen,
and he has tons of chemistry with Aaron Rodgers.
he
So
does.
there's
And so I expected those guys to actually go off. Going back, and I'll say it every single fucking time. These guys were predicted to go and projected to go to the Super Bowl,
right.
and win the whole thing. These Everybody and their mother was high on Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, uh, Alan Lazard, and the New York Jets. They were all and they didn't do nothing. Not A
No, they
Rod,
did nothing.
not Devontae. They didn't do nothing. So when the chips are down, I mean, you got to produce. Listen, Drake May did it at the end. He produced a shit ton of fucking numbers for us. Um, Another team too. Think about Tyrod Taylor, the work that he has done. Geno Smith. Geno Smith, we just talked about him. I thought he was a backup quarterback, goes to Seattle and lights it up there. When the
Yep.
chips are down, you need to produce. And Devontae Adams, like I said, I'll give him one more year. Um, I would like to see him at least win one, but if not, he could also always go to the Chiefs and collect a free one. That's a if you're playing Monopoly, that's pass go and collect 200, and that's what Devontae Adams should do. I mean, it all depends. Like you said, these guys can't expect big numbers to come in and play with a team for fucking, you know, 26, $27 million a year. Uh, I would say minimum, give him 10 million. 10 million to go play for Kansas City. Let him win a Super Bowl. Um, well, see, I don't know because if DeAndre Hopkins signs with them and
Yeah. Do you want two veteran wide receivers as your number one and number two?
not when you
You
got
know.
not when you got Juju, who's he. I mean, say what you want to say about him. He did when he's with that Kansas City team. For some reason, he's on. His numbers probably don't show it, but he's a playmaker. Juju is, and yeah, no, I think you're right. Two veterans. So it all depends on what Hopkins does. If he doesn't resign, then for one, Hopkins is most likely going to retire. But if Hopkins doesn't resign with the Chiefs, I could see Devontae Adams going to Kansas City. And
Oh
by
yeah.
the
You.
way, with numbers like he was producing and like 800 and his past, bring those numbers to Kansas City and Kansas City goes to the Super Bowl and wins it.
Oh yeah. Probably more than likely. Like I said before, I think any team could use a Devonte Adams, even a 32-year-old Devonte Adams.
Yeah, yeah,
Almost any team in the league would want him.
right. Going back to
Um,
the Reds to the Commanders one more time. I noticed I have here in my notes that Bobby Wagner was re-signed to a 1 year deal worth up to $9.5 million. But they're gonna let go. But they released Jonathan Allen, but you keep Bobby Wagner.
Maybe they think they need more help in center or in the middle linebacker, department
Yeah.
rather than what he was. Jonathan Allen, he was a tackle. Was he a defensive
Yeah,
tackle?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, yeah, I
Maybe
think
they
so. Yeah, yeah.
maybe they just think they don't need that kind of depth anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what the Commanders are thinking,
All I know is that
but
I do not want them to screw this up. I mean, I know you kind of do because they're in your division. I like seeing these teams, bounce back. The Rams, though. The Rams, who did they resign? I just seen it.
well, we know Matthew Stafford's staying.
No, they agreed to a 1 year deal with somebody. I just had seen it before we started recording.
I
I
haven't
think it
seen
was
nothing
worth
on that.
$10 million, something like that. The Rams are another team too that we don't know what the hell they're doing. I mean, we know, like you said, the Matthew Stafford thing. Uh, it seems like these playoff teams, dude, are just fucking it all up. You would say Washington,
Uh,
the
yeah,
Rams, the Chiefs are
yeah.
letting go their line.
Something's got to give. You know, between now and the trade deadline and the draft. So we'll have to see how everything shakes up. Um,
Yeah,
I would like to bring up one more name though that was released. It's not a huge name, but I think it's significant. Jamal Williams was released from the Saints. He did not have spectacular numbers. He had 164 yards, one touchdown. But he's been a solid back, since 2017 when he got drafted by the Packers. He was decent for the Lions. And actually in 2022 for the Lions, he had over 1,000 yards and 17 touchdowns. Um, and then his numbers kind of dropped off since he's been hurt a couple times. He's kind of injury prone. But anybody out there looking for a running back, I think Jamal Williams is a decent pickup, and I think he'd be on the cheap too.
yeah. He was drafted by Kansas City, wasn't he?
No, he was drafted by Green Bay in 2017.
Oh, I'm thinking of Jamal Charles.
Yeah, yeah.
Still, Jamal Williams is a decent quarterback, like that Zach said.
Running back.
Yeah, that's what I meant. My bad. And which brings me to this too. On the last episode, I asked you, our my question is, do you think that with the way that Saquon and the Eagles' offensive line made that mass production of offensive rushing yards, do you think a lot of these teams, other 31 teams, do you think that these guys start to take notes on that and build that offensive line up more for that run game? Or do you think that these guys are just going to focus on much more of the passing game?
I guess it all depends. It depends on how each team's defense, you know, works against what other teams are doing, and then you need to have that kind of offensive coach that's rushing minded. You know, I don't really know what teams are going to be thinking about. I think they're more worried about stopping the run, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're gonna. They might try to reproduce what Philly did, but it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell with the way the league's going because you have faster quarterbacks now. You know, they're running with the ball more. So it's hard to tell if it's a passing league still or if they're kind of transitioning to a running game.
Well, I hope
It's hard to predict.
I hope not, because we got rid of the fullback position pretty much. Tight ends play that spot. And you brought up a good point about the whole quarterback thing too, because I've said it before. What we're starting to see in this league is a bunch of these quarterbacks who are not just stand still, stand in the pocket type of guys with slow
Right.
speed. We're seeing these, elite explosive quarterbacks who can not only launch the ball but also take off and score 4.20 40.
Oh yeah,
It's a
definitely.
tough. So with that being said, you got to have these edge rushers on the outside. Even some of these guys like Aaron Donald was a really good nose guard, fast and explosive, strong as hell too. Um, it's gonna be really fun, dude. I know
I,
we're running out on time. It's gonna be really fun to uh, to see this league transform into what it's going to be, dude. I'm really excited.
oh yeah, I am too. I think we got about a minute left. Any closing statements or anything that we missed that you'd like to bring up and what we will have for episode 4?
So episode 4, we are gonna probably recap UFC 313. Um, Depending on what happens this weekend, we might have some more NFL news for you. Definitely gonna have some updates within the league. Um, Other than that, can't think of any really good thing that's going on. Spring training is still going on in the MLB. The NHL is pretty much dead, other than the Boston Bruins trading Burchard. down to Florida. Um, it's pretty slow so far. Pretty slow week here.
Uh, it'll definitely pick up, I think, here shortly. So, with that, I think that wraps up our episode. Um,
Absolutely.
you can find us on Facebook at the Benchwarmers Podcast. I believe you can find us on Twitter as well. And what's that handle, Jordan?
It's bench warmers, but the E's are threes. Again, it's TH3B3NCH
All right. Thank
WARM3R. The bench warmer on X. So go ahead and give us a follow there.
Yeah, definitely. And also, please like and subscribe, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Helps with the algorithm, helps get our name out there. Um, and with that, I think that brings our podcast to the close. And always remember, the starters make it the glory, but the bench warmers bring the fun. Stay tuned for another episode of the Benchwarmers podcast, and have a good night.
Peace.